you, Tim. Paul?
Good morning. Welcome once again to Community Channel, Channel 18. We're very happy to have with us today, which is a special program. It's an honor for Bob Murray, because the HECH Walk this year is going to be the Bob Murray Walk for the homeless. And so congratulations on that, Bob.
Thank you very much.
Your 20th year of service to the community. That's quite an accomplishment, and probably you deserve more than just a walk in your name, but knowing your devotion to service, I'm sure that's enough for you.
Well, this was an idea that got sprung on me without my knowledge. The other agencies that got together and they decided they were going to do this.
And I'd like to introduce Pam Paramakian here before we get too involved in discussing things. This is a post which I think has been sort of part-time filled. Now you're the executive director now of HECH.
That's correct, of Harwich Ecumenical Council for the Homeless.
Right.
I've been with HECH for a year, and we work on compassionate solutions for both low and moderate income households, and we also have a child care provider program with the Children's Center over on Sisson Road.
Very good. Now, do you have staff, or is this,
oh, yes.
You do this all by yourself?
No, we do. We have 6 teachers at the Children's Center, and along with that we do child care provider vouchers. And on the housing side we have 4 staff now, 4 full-time staff that we do on the housing side. We do rental assistance programs, we develop affordable housing, we property manage our own units, and we also are working in the direction of some rehab programs and home ownership programs.
This group has grown enormously since your idea in the very beginning 20 years ago.
Yeah, a group of us got together with the Harwich clergy back in 1990 and formed HECH. We were saying this morning at the meeting that since Pam's come on, HECH has really taken off. Pam has been a terrific director, and we've added staff under her, and amazingly she's found the money to pay for it all, which is the real key to all of this. But she's done a great job, and the future looks really bright. We're going to get involved with some other programs that will impact Cape from Dennis to Provincetown. So we're going to really spread HECH's wings over the next few months.
Now, is this Walk for Love used to be, now it's the Bob Murray Walk. Is this the major source of funding for your annual expenses?
For many of the 12 agencies that participate in the Housing with Love Walk, this is one of their major fundraisers, and in some cases it is their major fundraiser. And last year the walk raised about $247,000 combined. For HECH, it's a major source of income for us, but it's not by far the only source of income. HECH now has about 55 or 56 housing units. There's rents collected from those units. Grants are written all the time at HECH, particularly for the Children's Center. That program runs on donations and grants primarily. And Abby Newbury, who runs that piece for HECH, just does an incredible job. And as I say, Pam has done just... In fact, Terry Newbury was at the table today, and Tom Peterson was at the table today, and those are 2 other people who started HECH back in 1990. And we were saying the excitement around the table this morning was just like at the beginning, when we all threw $10 on the table to get a bank account started way back then. So it's really exciting, but we owe so much of it to Pam and her leadership.
Oh, very good. And now when does this walk start?
We start in Provincetown on Monday, July 9th.
July 9th.
That's
So it's coming up. It's
coming
next-
up. That's
It's
right.
coming Monday.
They're coming Monday.
And then we walk through all 15 Cape Towns, and we wind up with a celebratory party at Liam McGuire's Irish Pub. Can there be a better place for a party? In Falmouth on Sunday the 15th.
Oh, very good.
So, and again, as Bob was mentioning, it's 12 organizations that are involved with the walk. And each day, a few of the organizations sponsor that day of the walk. HECH's Day this year is Wednesday, and we'll be meeting, the HECH walkers will be meeting at the municipal town parking lot at 11 a.m. on Wednesday, July 11th. Would love for people to join us. And then from there, we walk over to the First Congregational Church, and that's where we have our luncheon, which is always a really great event. And we have wonderful volunteers that do the luncheon for us on that day. And then from there, we walk down to Holy Trinity. So the HECH walk itself is about 4.2 miles, or any portion of it. So if somebody did want to join us for the walk, that's the portion that they would be, that HECH will be sponsoring.
Where do they meet you to start there?
At the municipal parking lot, 11 a.m.
Oh, okay.
on Wednesday,
And they
on
walk
July 11th.
from there to the
To the-
dentist line? Or?
No, from there to the First Congregational Church for our luncheon.
Oh, well,
Yeah.
you got to be beefed up before
Oh,
you
of
can
course,
walk.
Yeah,
of course. And the interesting thing about the walk this year is every year for the pre-meeting for the walk, all 12 organizations get together. And this year, Chris Austin from Homeless Prevention, without Bob's knowledge, had sent an email to all of us saying, you know what, let's talk about renaming the walk the Bob Murray Housing with Love Walk in honor of Bob for starting this so many years ago. So we got to the meeting, and so it was brought up, there was discussion, and everybody raised their hand and said, yes, it's going to be the Bob Murray Housing with Love Walk, except for Bob. He was the only one that didn't raise his hand at the meeting. So it's our way in the housing community to thank Bob for all the work that he's done over the years. And it's a real honor to be part of this.
Well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
More than 40,000 seems like a lot of money, but when you divide it by 12 organizations,
That's right.
Do they all share equally?
No. We designed this thing as a hybrid of the Project Bread Walk that happens every year in Boston. In that walk, Project Bread collects all of the money, and then they distribute it out through grants through the different feeding programs in the Commonwealth.
Mm-hmm.
But I was trying to create a situation where there was some real incentive for the participating agencies to raise money. So come together under this umbrella. We'll show you and share ideas about how each agency raises their money, and hopefully the agencies will learn how to raise more money for their particular programs. But you keep what you raise. Each agency keeps what it raises for their particular program. So there's some real incentive, and it's been interesting to watch some of the agencies as they've come in and been a little bit skittish about raising money, and they've seen others do better. They the next year will put a little more effort into it, because nothing happens without some effort, and we're finding that some of the smaller agencies are learning a little bit more about how you raise money, because everybody, all the agencies here have a great sense of the need, right, and a great sense of their mission. But it's often hard to find people in the human services field that also know that has to be balanced with income. Because if you don't have the income side, nothing happens. And
tell us a little bit, Pam or Bob, about the need this year. Are the needs growing fast?
Oh,
Yeah.
very much. Last year at this time at HECH, our wait list was maybe 10 or 20. Our wait list exceeds 100 now. I think it's about 120 families now waiting. And along with that, we field every week anywhere from 15 to 20 additional phone calls of people that are just in need, in crisis. And when they're calling our organizations, and I think it's the same for all 12 of the organizations, our families are calling us in crisis. They're not calling to, say chit-chat or anything like that. They're in crisis. They're about to be homeless. or they're not being able to pay a bill, a utility bill. Or for a lot of the time for us, it's that their kids aren't being able to go to childcare, which keeps them working.
Yes.
So the crisis, I think it's bigger than ever, and the need is bigger than ever. And I know we rely on the funds that we raise through the Bob Murray Housing with Love Walk, and we try to spread that out amongst all our programs, whether it being rental assistance, some kind of a mortgage assistance, or just keeping people in the homes that they're in now.
How are these people that you're unable to service, how are they getting along?
Well, I'll echo what Pam had to say. You know, I have another nonprofit in Falmouth, and that nonprofit has 182 rental units. And we've seen a dramatic increase this year of people who are having difficulty paying the rent, and difficulty of people accessing housing because they don't have the money to access the housing. And some of the problems with access is they're not earning enough money for the landlord to have a comfort level that they can, in fact, afford the rent. On Cape Cod, there's a tremendous number of people here that contribute and make this place run every day, who just aren't making enough money to live here. But if they weren't here, this would be a pretty hard place to navigate, because they're the people who are doing those jobs in the grocery store, you know, the orderlies in the hospitals, the custodians. Those people, or the CNAs in nursing homes, they just don't make enough money to live here. But where would we be without them?
Yes, that's the problem.
So if you don't if you can't help to provide them with some kind of stable housing so that they can live here, they have no choice but to leave.
So the solution is that we have to raise more money.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, that's where we're coming,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, that's what this is
I
about.
mean, I was just going to ask Pam, if you have 120 families that you can't service,
That's right.
what would it take to service those families? Is that another $20, $30, $40,000 or what?
I think a lot of the households are in need of housing units. So one of the other issues on the Cape is that there's the funding on the federal and the state level for housing development has been affected by the housing crisis. And because of that, there's not the same drive to build and develop new affordable housing units. So the answer is to continue trying to find a way to build more affordable housing, and also, as Bob said, is to access some funds so that we can have rental assistance programs so that people can stay in the homes that they're in now.
On average, how much does family assistance or housing assistance provide for rental property?
Well, it depends on the situation. Right. Each case is different. But you'd be amazed at the number of families that you can keep housed and have them maintain good, safe housing for under $200 a month.
Right.
I mean, sometimes the gap is that small.
Wow. In other words, they're pooling their resources to do as well as they can, but they keep falling short.
But the trouble is, we've been in this real, you know, poor economy, bad economy, I guess is a better word for it, for 2 or 3 years now. And many of these families, they've gone through all their parents, their siblings. They don't have any backup anymore. There's nobody to back them up if they fall into a crisis. So, because they've used that all up just to get to this point. And so you're seeing more people who are falling into a situation where they're in danger of losing housing faster because they don't have any family backup anymore. It's been all used up. And so that's not going to change really until the economy starts to turn around. And, you know, most people are telling you that's 2 or 3 years away anyway.
Well, I don't think anybody has a good pulse on when that is going to happen, unfortunately.
No.
But in the meantime, Any of these agencies really having more problems in servicing their clientele than the other 11 or 12?
Every agency has more clients than they can service.
Is that true?
Every
Yeah.
agency.
That's right.
And so they start the beginning to, and that's one of the things that's great about this walk. The agencies develop a relationship through walking together for a week. And so you can pick up the phone and say, you know, I got a case that needs $1,000 right now, but I can only put in 500. Will you split it with me? And another agency, you can usually get to split that with you. And that's how you take care of the more expensive situations. And that might be a situation where somebody's fallen behind in the rent because of they've lost a job or they've lost a spouse or for any number of reasons.
I'm surprised that the summer season now, which we're in, late spring, that hasn't improved any at all, it seems, anyhow.
Let me give you an example of why it does improve somewhat,
Yeah.
because there is more work out there. But you take a CNA,
CNA.
certified nurse's assistant.
Okay.
They're working in a nursing home, and she maybe has 1 or 2 kids at home that she's trying to support on that salary, and she pulls her back while lifting a patient.
No.
Now she's out on workman's comp for could be 2 or 3 months. It takes a while for the workman's comp to kick in, and then it takes and the workman's comp is not the same as the salary.
No.
So she's behind the 8 ball for however long she's tied up. And he has no ability to make that shot fall up. No ability at all to make that shot fall up. So if she doesn't have a landlord who's sympathetic, she's out.
The landlord still has to pay taxes.
Exactly.
That's right.
Exactly.
That's right.
He's got a business to run too. You know.
The town isn't sympathetic to him.
No, I mean, so
Right.
it's a tough situation. I say to people, and when I interview many of these, particularly single moms with a couple kids, and they come in looking for assistance, and I start to scratch the surface a little bit. You know, it's so easy to make quick judgments. So they're lazy or whatever. You know, but when I start to scratch the surface in many of these cases, I shake my head and say, I don't know if I could have done as well as that woman has done. And with all the odds stacked against her, and she's still here, she's still fighting, she's still trying to survive for her kids. And that's what this is about. So you give her a helping hand.
How can people make contributions who, you know, I know you talk at the churches, are you continuing with that?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and we and most of the agencies do that. But in these walk brochures that we have here in front of us, they're at all the Stop and Shops. They're here at the community center, and it has an address for each of the 12 agencies if you want to donate to a particular agency. If you want to donate to HECH, it's
HECH. You can always donate to HECH at hech.org. That's HECH.org. It also has the schedule for the entire walk from Provincetown to Falmouth. So if you click on where it says Bob Murray Housing with Love Walk and click on there, the whole itinerary is up there also. And you're able to donate right online.
And if you want to mail in something, do you have a mailing address?
Of course. You can always mail donations to HECH, H-E-C-H, P.O. Box 638, West Harwich, 02671.
See, that's the difference. See, I would have done the mailing piece first because that's where my mind is, and the younger minds are at the electronic way.
I know, right? That's true.
Oh, it saves you going to the bank.
Right, absolutely.
That's right. That's right.
So all you young people out there, you know, get on your computer and just, you know, click that $100 bill.
But the other thing when I was talking about donations and stuff, you know, a lot of people think, oh, you know, I can only afford $5 or I can only afford $10. Believe me, no donation is too small because these donations get coupled with other donations, and then you have enough to help a family. And so I wouldn't want anybody who's listening to this program to think, I can't give enough to make a difference. You can give enough to make a difference because it's your giving enough and somebody else giving enough, and you couple that all together, you can make a difference.
Well, that seems to be the theme, to try and make a difference, because that's where love really comes in.
That's right.
And you have to sacrifice a little yourself for someone else.
Well,
So that's what he preaches
right.
from the altar.
Yeah. but it's true, you know. I haven't met one client that I'd want to change places with. Not one.
That says a lot right there.
And I tell you, most of them, I admire their tenacity in the face of terrible odds. I don't know where these women get the strength. I really don't know where they get the strength, because some of them face some really, really tough situations.
Are there any men in those situations?
Yeah. Although they're much more reluctant to come forward.
Really?
And if it's a husband and wife that are in the situation, the men always make the wife go ask.
Yeah, of course.
You know, but yeah, we've seen some single dads out there, you know, and particularly in the trades, you know, when the winter slows down, they have a tough time. And another class of individual that have a hard time getting through the 12 months on Cape Cod are waitresses. You know, they do good, you know, but yet then that December, January, February, March hits, and they can't make it. They can't make it. So a lot of I have some of them that are in our units, and I say, okay, why don't you pay this amount of rent in your good months, and we'll cut the rent in your slow months, and you know, you'll have a place to live that you can depend on and be secure in.
Yes.
And I'll have a tenant.
Yeah.
And you know, and it works.
Now, you brought up the subject of wheelchairs before we started. You want to tell us a little bit about what's happening for you in this walk, and how they fit into this overall picture?
Yeah, I will. I had a very tough winter. I've had trouble with my feet for a while, but this past winter was particularly bad. And it was a warm winter, but I have two diseases that impact my feet. And so I had open sores on my feet from mid-September last year to the 1st of June this year. And the skin on my feet is so fragile. In fact, one Saturday I was at home, and one foot was particularly bad. The other one was okay. It was at least all closed. And I said to my wife, would you go out and get me a pair of crutches? I'm going to see if I can just stop using that foot that's bad. One day on the crutches, and 3 sores broke out on the other foot. So that's how bad the feet are. They're just terrible.
Yeah.
And so when they came to me with this Bob Murray thing, you know, I really didn't want to do that. But the more I thought about it, I said, well, if you ever hope to have this walk survive you, you've got to do something like this. And I think this walk is important enough to survive me. Because the disease I have eventually going to get me. I've had one of them for over 20 years, and I was winning. Now the disease is winning. So so I think it's good, in reflection, to create a situation that will survive.
So you're going to do the walk in a wheelchair?
I'm going to do the flat parts. I'm real chick. I'm not going to do those hills, because I was telling somebody about, you know, I never used to train for the walk. You know, I used to tell people it's a train-as-you-go thing. And so I had a guy ask me a couple of weeks ago, he says, how's your upper body strength? I says, I don't have any. He says, well, how are you going to push a wheelchair? I know it's going to be a train as you go, but I know I'm not going to be able to do hills.
Somebody will get behind.
I'm going to do those flat
We'll
places.
push you.
Yeah. Richard Wasak told me the other night, he'd push me through Harwich.
Okay.
Sweet.
Now, but people in wheelchairs present another problem. It's a very special problem for HECH and other agencies.
Right.
Right.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And their needs, you know, we have a lot of classes of people with disabilities. You have mentally disabled people, and their needs are different. And you have physically disabled people who are wheelchair bound, and their needs are different. But if you're in this business, you're in this game, you're in this work, you got to try to meet those needs. And it costs money. If you're going to retrofit a house, you could spend $6,000, $7,000, $8,000 for that. Now, you're not going to see that back, you know, for a long time. but it's the right thing to do. It's the right thing to do, and if you do the right thing, you survive. I find that. We found that with the pantry over the years. We found it with HECH. If you just do the right thing, all what you need will come to you when you need it.
Well, very good. There's a lot of needs out there, as you've heard today, and there are, for us, most of us anyhow, contributions are the best thing that we can do. And I guess if you have someone in your family that needs a need, as much as you can supply to help them is another good thing to do, and to take care of as many people as you can, that you know, and that you have the ability to serve. So we're going to ask Pam to give you the address and the website once again, so that you can contribute to Bob Murray's Walk for Love and Walk for HECH and hunger and homelessness. And I don't know, we've talked to Bob since I've been here, anyhow, 12 or 13 years now, and I can't remember a more pitiful explanation of the state of our community. And I hope that moves everybody to do a little bit more this year. So Pam, do you want to end us with your address?
Thank you, Paul. Again, if you'd like to donate for the Bob Murray Housing with Love Walk for HECH, it's HECH, HECH.org, and our mailing address is HECH, HECH, P.O. Box 638, West Harwich, Mass. 02671. And thank you again for having us.
No, thank you.
Yeah,
and
thank
Bob,
you, Paul. I appreciate
best
it.
of luck to you.
Thank you very much. And thanks to Channel 18. They've been such generous supporters over the years to let us come in every year and disrupt their day. And they've just been great people. Yeah.
Small cost to us, based on all you've told us.
It's wonderful to have friends like Channel 18.